Find functional hilarity at the Biffa Emporium. Girl, it's what I heard. Allegedly, it's just the word. Allegedly, it's on the street. Allegedly, I sing to the beat. Allegedly, lee, lee, lee. Allegedly, lee, lee, lee. Allegedly, lee, lee, lee. Allegedly.
So let's watch Thick Tongue and Wide Back go at it. So Carlos said, oh, so Hefferly, you want to lay down? And so Hefferly said she's been hanging out with Toya, so she just wants to lay down and take care of herself. And Carlos said, oh, like y'all laid Quad down? Quad laid herself down with her Tyler Perry-ass attitude. Now, Hefferly was right, Carlos. You let Quad get around a lot of questions. You asked her, did she get a big head? She started talking about Mariah and the vernacular in Memphis. Oh, unlike you, Hefferly, I let people talk, but you don't get them to answer the questions you actually asked. But you do let people talk. Now, here we go. Well, in order to be a true journalist, you have to be unbiased. He is a true cigarette. He is nobody's journalist. Carlos, I know your thick-tongued self is not making fun of how Hefferly says anything. You can't pronounce your own name. However, we have to talk about what Dr. Jackie said on that podcast, I believe, with Hefferly, that black women are dramatic during their pregnancy and just want to get off work. That's why you had to talk to Kamala Harris. That's why black women are dying, because nobody believes them when they say, hey, I'm in pain. They have fibroids at a higher rate than any other women on the planet, but you want to say they're being dramatic? Imagine carrying a football and a baby. I don't want to think about it. We shout out Toya Wine Club for a minute. Toya's Wine Club for a minute. Now, Hefferly says, Toya, you can't go in on people with careers when you have none. We happy for your wines, but don't get ahead of yourself. Who did Toya go after? I think you meant Quad. But Hefferly said, I got streams of income, so I don't need this show. Quad, you looking mighty desperate. And, well, you are. Flying out to California to get fired? That's sorry. So Carlos says it's an ensemble show and nobody should be thrown off the boat. And Hefferly said if Quad had been able to take accountability, we probably would have kept messing with her. But she couldn't do it, not even once. Hefferly did reach out to Quad after she saw the episode. But, I mean, did Hefferly reach out to you? So I don't know why you felt the need to reach out after the firing. We could tell that was all an act for the camera. She didn't care about y'all, and still don't. Carlos said, well, there's a lot of backlash with what happened to Quad. Hefferly said, it's a lot of bots, because where were they for the past few years pumping Quad up? Carlos, if nobody defended Quad at the table, then what does that mean about Quad's behavior? Are they ganging up, or has she pissed everybody off where even Phaedra wouldn't defend her? Carlos says, so y'all womped on Quad at the table, then you made her come back on production's dime and watch y'all eat room service while Simone fired her. And it seems like it was set up by production. And it was. Hefferly said, well, there was the arguments Quad was getting into at the dinner table that just weren't shown. That's why we had to bring her back to fire her. Hefferly said she didn't like how low Quad was going because Quad doesn't have a license to lose. And since they have something to lose, they don't like to play with girls like Toya and Quad who don't. So now we've realized that they are not showing enough of the behind the scenes on Married to Medical, which is why the show isn't making sense. But honestly, it makes sense to me. Quad seemed like an ass for the past few seasons. Her nose has been in the air since Shitty Circle. And now the heifers don't want to deal with her no more. And these are vote you out kind of heifers because they did it to Mariah, the creator of the show. So I ain't surprised Quad had to go. But Hefferly still feels like Quad was given too soft of an interview and was allowed to lie. Hefferly said Mariah said Quad stayed with her because she didn't have any place else to stay and her address was a license plate. I remember that, Reed. Hefferly keeps saying, you didn't see, you weren't there, you didn't see, you weren't there. Well, we saw what was on TV. And Hefferly saying, oh, people with a doctor in front of their name. You know, doctor, they're solid, they're credible. I'm sorry, doctors lie. Or get on television and say things like, Buffy, you're infertile. Dr. Jackie also just said that black women were more dramatic in their pregnancies. Black women die 3 times as much as white women, but they're more dramatic in their pregnancies and they complain just to get off work. Also, if they want to be off work, they ain't working for you. Why is it important for you that they bring their happy asses to work? Why wouldn't you give them, oh, you don't have to go to work profile? Why wouldn't you say no work? Why wouldn't you let the insurance company and the office pay for it? They ain't working for you. So why do you care about their productivity? So no, Heffley, shut the fuck up. Now we arguing about what's a journalist and what's not a journalist. Neither one of you are a journalist. And Carlos, you're barely a producer. So Heffley's still jumping up and down about how Dr. Jackie and Simone wouldn't lie. Then she said Quad ain't the breakout star. Carlos said she is. Well, she ain't on the show no more. Heffley, you do lie. You've been called out at telling lies at the reunion. Like Carlos said, you said Quad was sleeping with Common. Now you want to hide behind, it was a joke. I was kidding. No, you were bullying with your oxen ass. So Heffley's pissed at Quad because Quad told the shit she was talking about Phaedra. Oh, and Quad was baiting Heavenly, trying to get her mad with Phaedra so Heffley would bring her to the trip. Now, Carlos is saying he don't edit his interviews. Heffley saying you cut up your stuff. I leave mine real. That's why Quad wants to call me out. You didn't hold Quad's feet to the fire in that interview and let her run and get her passport trying to prove I'm a liar just because I didn't know which country in Africa, but I know the heifer going to Africa looking for dick. Now that I believe. But Carlos doesn't hold anybody's feet to the fire. He just lets them lie. And sometimes it's good to let people tell their side of the story, even if it isn't true. Lets you know who to believe. Now, Heffley has a point. Carlos, you just accused Heffley of apologizing to Quad on Twitter trying to get ahead of the backlash, but you didn't accuse Quad of anything. You said, did you get a big head, and let her run off on irrelevant tangents. You really standing for Quad. Y'all kicked her off the island. Well, I'm sorry. If 5 people are like, we don't want to mess with you, all 5? I'm sorry. I think it's the 6th man. So they've stopped sniping long enough for Carlos to ask, do you still feel as sorry as you did on Sunday for Quad now that you've watched the interview and watched her not take accountability? Do you still want to call her up and apologize? Heffley said, I do feel bad for Quad. Now, I don't know if she was crying for a check or if she was crying because she gonna miss the heifers, but she was real crying. Heffley said Quad thought she could give everybody her ass to kiss and then had to come back and grovel, and she'd never do that. So Heffley said Quad groveled to be on the finale. Heffley said the network showed them the numbers and Quad was number 5 out of all of them. Heffley said for Quad to bring up Angela Stanton was desperate. Sorry, Phaedra didn't have no storyline. I think it was high time to bring up Angela Stanton and the fact that you read the book. Heffley, I feel like you're trying to shirk accountability. Heffley wanted to say, oh, well, we weren't going to bring Phaedra's ex on to the show, and Carlos said, well, you brought Quad, so what's the difference? Carlos also said there's no way I'd have a heifer's ex-husband on and not let her know. A heads up would have been appropriate. And that I agree. Heffley said, well, Quad was being phased out. That's why she didn't get a heads up. So Heffley brought Sweet Tea on to save Quad so Quad knew what it was, so it wasn't about a heads up. Carlos, you're not a private person. We don't care about your life because you're boring. We don't care about your thick-tongued antics. We don't care about your closet or your clofus. We don't care about thick-tongued you. You're a sorry cigarette who likes to stir the turd, and I watch so people don't have to suffer through your spittle. You've thrust yourself upon us. But all you've really done is gotten interviews with people who can't be solo stars. Quad, Nene, Latavia, I'm sorry, but they're barely getting booked on The Breakfast Club, so sure they'll come and sit with you for a check and a coin and a click and a view. All I need is Bronx, and people find me funny. So Heffley finally starts to make sense. She's like, look, this is a job. We tried to bring her back. She knew she was getting phased out, so she should have known I gotta keep at least one friend on the show, but she messed up with everybody. So Heffley was hurt that Quad said she didn't have an emotional connection with the heifers, only maybe Simone. And Heffley's like, I'm the one that keeps bringing you back from the dead like Lazarus. Carlos still wishes Heffley had taken Quad aside. But Quad attacked Heffley and you just don't seem to get that. Carlos said, well look, the scene gave you weren't having an emotional connection like you were on Love is Blind. And Carlos pointed out, Quad is a single woman with a different life than y'all, so she ain't gonna be up your butt after filming. Carlos said y'all are asking more from Quad than you asked from the other ladies, and I don't think so. Heffley says Quad is too much work. Well, hold on, do you miss her calling you in the off season, or is she too much work as a friend? Which is it? All right, well, that was enough of them arguing. I'm gonna see you soon for Housewives of Miami.
Alleged what? Alleged who? Allegedly, allegedly. Don't blame, don't sue. Allegedly, allegedly, allegedly.